Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Seiler Wealth Management video blog. Today is Thursday, February 18th. I'm Lee Seiler. I'm the President and CEO of Seiler Wealth Management. Hope everybody's doing well, and certainly what a difference a few days make. And I encourage you to look back at my videos. You can find them on the Seiler Wealth Management Facebook. But, last Tuesday, it was very interesting because, and I believe that was February 9th, my February 9th video, I said the market needed that one more whoosh downwards. And one thing I look at is I'm a technical analyst, so I look at charts as well as fundamentals of the markets and individual stocks. But, right now we've got to look at the technicals, which is what the charts are telling you. And I saw what they call a very popular bottoming pattern called the W base. And that's something we will talk about in our upcoming Investment 101, which I have a date for that. So a W base occurs when you have a big whoosh downward followed by a rally, which we saw, and it really makes a W. Okay, so you have the downside, back upside, and downside, and then back up again. So I said we needed that whoosh day, and the markets were acting pretty poorly. But on Tuesday the 9th, I said, well, the one thing you can say that's somewhat positive is that we had really bad days, but then the market would rally, even though we may still be closing down on that day. We're cutting the losses in half or cutting them by a quarter or three quarters, but we're cutting some losses. So then Thursday comes around and had a really, really bad day. And I was seeing some fear and hearing the fear in some of the traders. And usually that kind of would breed bottoms, all right? Fear, all right? It's fear and greed what moves the markets. But in this case, we're looking for fear, okay? So Thursday, we get the big whoosh downwards. I mean, it was scary. And we were down huge. And then all of a sudden, what changes between Friday, of course, Monday we were closed, it was President's Day, between Friday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Well, I'll tell you what changed. Nothing. Not a damn thing has changed. Yet, all of a sudden, miraculously, the markets rally 6.4% on the S&P 500. The Dow rallies 950 points, or 6.1%. And the NASDAQ, which had been the beaten down indice so far year to date, had been down like 13% at the beginning of the week. As of the beginning of the week for the year to date, was up 7.7%. And again, what happens is people were so nervous. I know for a fact, because I talk to people all day long, I talk to new clients coming in or incoming investors, that they sell everything and then they want to start from scratch, which I always say it's a big mistake. You don't want to sell everything. Nobody's good enough to know when the market's going to turn around. Yes, you have, and we have instituted a philosophy, and I've been working on this for a while, and I have a prevent defense for portfolios. And I can't get into a conversation about it because it's something that is not as understandable to a layman, and I don't want to go ahead and start discussing my strategy when people aren't going to, I'm going to waste 3 minutes of your time. And of course, folks, that 3 minutes of your life you'll never get back. So if you want to talk about it in person, we can do so. So the markets rally. Bottom is trying to be put in place. Doesn't mean that we are done with the downside. Does not mean that at all. What it means is we probably have seen the lows. Okay, so it doesn't mean we can't come back and retest, but I doubt that we're going to undercut those recent lows. And what's interesting, and then we have a piece here that says it's a nice piece that we've developed. Says "Don't panic: 4 level-headed strategies for volatile markets." And the number one is stop listening to the noise. On Thursday, I watched CNBC all day long. Anybody who's ever been in my office will see we have it running all through the office all day long. Everybody's saying the world's coming to an end. The sun was in their eyes. They have a pebble in their shoe, looking at every excuse why you can't be in the market. Oh, I'm selling everything. Well, they're morons because you just don't do that. Okay, you don't sell everything and try and time the market because you're never going to get it right. All right. What you have to stay focused on, and rule number 2 in this 4 level-headed strategies is stay focused on the big picture. Are you a long-term investor? You're not a trader. Nobody on this call or on this video is probably a trader. And don't be tempted by emotion. Emotion is the worst thing. I get very unemotional about stocks. I've been doing it for 28 years now. I'm totally unemotional. So you can't get married to your stocks or your investments. You sell them when it needs to be sold. And you got to stay flexible. So that's number 4. But my point is, again, bottoming, the market's bottoming is a process. There's a big difference between the market hitting a low, which we probably have already seen, for this cycle and the market bottoming. A low can be achieved in one day. You hit the low, bounce right off of there. We may have seen that on Thursday. Bottoming takes time, and it takes weeks for the bottoming process. Now, the W base has already been going on for several weeks now, and probably about a month and a half is forming that W base. So it may take a little bit longer, but typically those are pretty solid bottoms. The Fed, Janet Yellen spoke. Are they going to raise rates in March? Well, she was very non-committal one way or the other. So that's not really going to help us, although we don't believe the Fed will raise rates in March now. Too much has gone on. You know, Brazil is a major problem. You still have those headwinds. You still have China. You still have Brazil. You still have the presidential election. You still have Bernie Sanders that if he does win the election, then I would say probably, and this is anybody watching this is regulator, I'm joking, but sell everything, okay? That was a joke, by the way, in case you're watching Finra. Anyway, if you look at my videos from last week, on Thursday, I talked about some stocks that I'm looking at, and stocks with great earnings that came out and knocked the cover off the ball, but were getting beaten down with everything else. Look at those. And that's what I did. And I specifically mentioned Google. I won't call it Alphabet, but that's the new name. And, you know, we did pick Google up last week, really, and at a bad time when the market was ugly. I said, you know, I don't think it's going to get much ugly, and if it does, we can withstand a little bit. But now Google's up 25 points or so from where we picked it off. And that was kind of a low. Bottom line is, folks, you don't ever know. We're indicating a higher opening today. I don't know, but 3 days in a row now the market's been up. That's the best we've seen since last year, since 2015. So that's a good sign. A couple of things. Wal-Mart this morning, they cut their guidance for fiscal year 2016. And that's surprising because you have lower oil prices, lower gasoline. You think people are spending their money at Walmart. The stock is getting hammered pre-market, down about 275. Had been a good performer so far this year because as worries about our economy go, Walmart typically is a safe haven. Maybe people are less worried about our economy and they're pulling back out of Walmart because if you're poor, you're shopping at Walmart probably. Even if you're not poor, but guess what? You're not sure about your job, you're shopping at Walmart. And I don't begrudge anybody who shops at Walmart, I don't care. My point is, the stock was performing very well. And when I say very well, it's up probably 10, 12%, had been year to date, but now you know they're making announcements. They reported earnings, which were okay. Earnings were okay, but it's their guidance going forward. They don't see it, and they're lowering their guidance for this year. But that's okay. The stock's down a little bit. Lastly, on Tuesday, March 1st, we have our first workshop. It's Investing 101. We're doing those workshops at our office. And we are limiting it into 6 people. All right, 6 people, Investing 101. It's going to go from the basics. These are people that have their 401ks and are starting to invest, or maybe have a lot of investments, but really not sure what they're doing, but they want to learn. So Investing 101, it will be on Tuesday evening, March 1st, at my office. We'll have some cocktails, some hors d'oeuvres, and it'll start at 6:30 p.m. We'll put that out on the website. We'll put that out on our Facebook, but you must make a reservation. Only 6 people. And then the following week actually is Bike Week. We are skipping, and then we are going to Women Investing the week after that. So we're going to put all the dates up there, but you got to call the office, please, and make your reservation. All right, let's draw a couple cruises. You guys have been sharing my videos. Please continue to share my video and like the video. And if you share it, I put 2 entries in the green bowl. And if you like it, you get 1. All right, so let's go. Let's go around in the bucket. Okay, put the lotion in the bucket. Okay. Deborah M. has won a cruise for 2 to the Bahamas. I think she won before, actually, last year sometime. But I told people I'm putting it back in, all right? Because I do have a lot of people that continue to share my videos, but new people are coming in all the time. Thank you very much. Let's go. Okay, Tom T. Tom T. Is that the weatherman Tom Terry? Not sure. Okay, we'll check on that. But Tom T. and Deborah M., thanks for playing. Thanks for sharing the video. We'll draw more cruises next week. It's a cruise for 2 Bahamas. Your only obligation is port costs, but it's worth about $200 and some. Okay? Thanks for joining me. Remember, Tuesday, March 1st, is our first workshop in the office. 6 people, Investing 101, and I'll put the phone number to call, the reservation number, when I'm done here. You guys have a fantastic day and a great weekend. I'll be back with you next week.